Welcome to Crafty Chemist Designs. Today I have a great project for you. But first, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel so that you are alerted every time I drop a new video. On to the project. Today I'm going to show you how to create this fun fold card that I'm kind of calling a Z-Fold card with pop-out. Look how pretty this is. This is using the new Kintsugi Suite. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's the Japanese art of adding gold filling when something breaks so that it looks even more beautiful than before the item was broken. So let's get started. I'm going to start with a sheet of, this is basic white thick cardstock, but you can use regular weight. We need this to be 8.5 by 5.5. So I'm going to just cut it down the center along the landscape view. Okay, now let's score this. Put it in your scoreboard along the landscape side and score it at 2 1/8 and 4 1/4. Okay, this is going to be the Z-fold part. So fold along the 4 1/4 to fold it in half. Burnish the edges, and then fold this piece back to make the Z-fold. Okay. We need a piece of cardstock for this inside piece. Okay. I used white, but you can use a different color if you want. That is the this is the color that you are going to stamp on as your inside greeting. So I would make it a a lighter color so you could stamp on it. So I think that the basic white is good. And that is 3 inches by 4.5. I am using the thick basic white, but you could use whatever color or whatever. If you want to use the thick or the regular is fine. The top layer here is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. So let's cut that. 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. So these are all of the white pieces we need, although we are going to need a piece that is the pop-up mechanism down in there. So I am going to use basic white for that. I would use the same color that you use for the card base. So if you use a different color for the card base, use that color. For the pop-up mechanism, we need a piece that's 3 inches by 2 1/4. We need to score this, put it in with the 3-inch side against the top of your scoreboard, and score it at 3/4 of an inch. 1.5 and 2 1/4. Okay, and these are all going to be mountain fold. You're basically going to just fold this into a tube, but don't glue it shut at all. I'm just using the bone folder that goes with my scoreboard. So you can see this is going to make the tube. Okay. Okay, for this inside piece here, you need a sheet of designer series paper. I ended up using a piece of old olive cardstock, and I embossed it. I don't know if you can see, because I wanted to use this embossing folder. This is the embossing folder that comes as part of the kit. It's called a Joined Together 3D embossing folder, and you can see it has the different designs. It is a 3D embossing folder. So that piece that you need is 4 by 5 1/4. So either cut your designer series paper that size, or if you're going to emboss something, cut it 4 by 5 1/4. Let me get out my stamp, cut, and emboss machine by Stampin' Up. And since this is a 3D embossing folder, let's look at what it says for the 3D embossing folder. You use the plate 1, the embossing folder, and then plate 4. Okay, here's the embossing folder. Let's put this in the center. And you know what I'm doing is I'm going to use, can you see that line that's on here? I'm going to use that as my line to make it straight, and then shut it. And then I always put it through with the Stampin' Up symbol on the top. And then this is what plate 4 looks like. And you'd think with it being a 3D embossing folder that it would be hard to go through, but it goes through very easily. Look how beautiful that is. I'm actually going to use it this direction with the gold piece here, or the piece that is supposed to be gold in the debossed side. So let's take this out. And if you can tell on this one, I took a metallic marker and I went in, and I don't know if you can see that very easily on the camera, but I did go in and put gold on there. I'm going to test it out to make sure that this is the color that I used. Let's see, which side? Okay, I'm going to use this side. And then I just went in and colored in these little crevices to make it look like it was gold metallic glue, or I don't know if they actually use gold to fill the pieces or what in the Kintsugi technique. So you could easily have used some of the paper, because a lot of the paper, make sure, a lot of the paper had this gold foiling on it, but none of it had this multi design. So I really love this embossing folder. Okay, that's good. There we go. Okay, so for this coordinating layer, this cardstock here, you need a piece that is 3 by 4 inches. I'm using Misty Moonlight because that is one of the colors in the suite. So that's 3 by 4. Okay. And then these designer series paper is going to go there, and it is going to go here. So you can see what it looks like opened up. So here and here. That is 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. I am using this paper. It's got a little bit of the pink color. It's on the back side of this one. So let's just cut this 1 7/8. And then by 5 1/4, we need 2 of them. Okay. Okay, let's begin to assemble the card. I'm going to put it like this so you can kind of see. Okay, so let's first put on our 2 designer series papers. I'm just centering it on here. Center it on the middle piece. Okay, and then let's put either your designer series paper, or here I am using the piece of cardstock that I embossed. And I am going to put a little extra adhesive on it because, you know, with things that are embossed, it needs a little bit more because of all of the bumps on there. Okay. Now let's take our piece that I'm going to move this out of the way for a second, the piece that we cut. And what we're going to do is put basically where these two come together, we're going to put right kind of on that fold line like that. Okay. I am going to use some score tape because, again, the embossed part needs a little extra. Plus, this is going to be opening and closing a lot, and I feel like a lot of, you know, pressure is going to be adhered onto here. So I feel like you just need something that's really strong. You could use your Tombow green glue. You can use Stampin' Seal Plus. I just don't have any of that. So this is what I'm going to use. Rub it to make sure it's on there pretty good. And then take off the backing. I'm going to use my Versamat to center it. Let's see. So I'm putting in the fold line right along here. I'm going to try and center this way also. Okay, so put this down. Okay, so you can see how it is. And then make sure that it opens and closes. Okay, so work it a little bit. Okay, so that's going to work pretty good. Okay, now take the piece that you cut for in here, and I'm going to stamp on this before I adhere it, because you can see once you put it on, it's a little bit hard to get to. I mean, you can do it like this, but remember that mechanism is underneath, so you want to stamp it before you put it on. And I'm going to use the You Inspire Me. The last time I put There Is Beauty in Your History. I think the I admire you is, let's see, make sure it's going the right way. What does that say? It doesn't say you inspire me is what it says. You inspire me. Okay, and I am going to use my Misty Moonlight because it goes with my coordinating cardstock that I used. I could have also used Old Olive if I wanted, or black. You inspire me. And you may want to sign it now. Now let's adhere this to the inside. I would put this piece down first, and the reason is so that you can center this piece on top. For this one, I put the centerpiece on first, and then I had to really work it to get this piece really centered onto there. So I recommend putting the inside piece first. And again, I'm going to use score tape because this is going to be, you know, opened and closed a lot, so you just want to make sure it sticks on there really well. Okay, and then I'm just going to kind of center that on there. Okay, it looks centered pretty much all the way around, so I'm happy with that. Okay, now depending on what you're going to do on the outside here, I just put die cut pieces. If you're going to stamp something, you want to stamp it now before you adhere it to the card. I'm going to do it afterwards because these are just die cut pieces. Okay, so we're going to put our basic white on top of our Misty Moonlight. Okay, and then on about half of this, and since the score tape is here, I'll just go ahead and use it. On about half of this, you want to apply your adhesive or your glue, not on the whole thing, because half of it's going to hang over the edge. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, that seems pretty good. Take off the backing. And then I'm going to close it up and then just use my eye to center this on with the white, you know, all the way around. There we go, that looks pretty good. Okay, now let's get decorating. Okay, you can definitely stamp these if you want to. I am going to use these pieces. The dies fit these perfectly. So you can see the die fits right on here. And this die fits, you know, onto these ones. And then this die fits onto the flowers. So you can see, I just cut it from the paper for right now. On this one, I used the Old Olive piece to match here, and I used the Misty Moonlight piece to match here. And maybe this time I'll use the pink to match this one. So I just cut out the pieces that I want to use, just kind of rough cut them. Make sure you're leaving room for the die to go around. Okay, let's see. And then there's a green one here, which I think works well for this particular card. And then actually the Misty Moonlight is right there, so let's just use these ones. Oh, and I'm going to, I guess, cut the flower off too. There we go. So let's cut these out. Again, I'm going to bring out my stamp, cut, and emboss machine. And let's cut this one. can use washi tape to get it in place and keep it there if you want. I'm going to see if I can do it without. With these dies and this paper, you can make these cards really fast because you're just cutting out all of these decorations. Okay, let's see. I don't know if I dared to do all of them together. Let me try. One at a time. Okay, oh, I love that. Let's do the bowl. If you're using washi tape and you want to run these through all at once, go for it. I'm a little nervous about that, but okay, look at that, beautiful. And then the last one is the flower. This one I found was a little bit harder to keep. There we go. Let's see. Okay. Okay, not too bad. Not too bad. Okay, so I've got these pieces. Oh, actually, I didn't even use this one on my last thing. Okay. I was going to, but I didn't use it, so guess I didn't need to cut that one out. But there are some other dies. Let me see. That I want to show you. One thing, I think this was here. One was these cracks. So these are the, if you cut these out in gold, you can put them on your vase like that and make it look like it was broken with the gold foil, right? To make it look kind of like one of these, right? I use them as twigs that were coming out of the vases because I really felt it needed something up there, but the flower was too big. So I'm going to use those as twigs. Let's see, and I am using this, I think this is Mocha from Close to My Heart. You could use espresso. And I'm just putting it in here like this. And you'll see that I did cut the bigger one in half. This isn't necessarily what these were meant to cut. They are not meant to be twigs, but I think they work like twigs. So it's a way we can extend our dies just a little bit. So here's one. Oops. Here's one, and then here's one. Okay, now this one, I felt like this bowl needed something, and so I used the dies to cut these little flowers out. You could stamp them, right? You could stamp and then cut. What I did is I used the leftover scraps from cutting. Remember, I cut this at 1 7/8 and then cut them at 5 1/4. So there's this little piece that was left over. I just used this, and I'm cutting 2 of them out of there. Okay, it didn't all pop out, so I'll put this one here because some of these are going to, let's pop this out. There we go. Okay, then make sure all the little pieces are popped out. Okay, so there's one. Okay, and then here's two. And this, again, this fits right on that little scrap piece, depending on what color you used for that as your designer series paper. Okay, pop this one out. Okay, looks perfect. So now I have these two. Okay, and then lastly, you can see I embellished this piece here, the inside sentiment, with this gold flower design. So that's in here also. And I have some scraps. Are you a hoarder of scraps of things like gold foil? I use every last bit of this. This is called gold foil sheets. And I don't want to waste any of it, so I keep every last bit. So I could use it for something like this. I think it makes a nice decoration. You could also stamp the flower or something in the bottom corner. But I want to emphasize the gold. I have gold on every layer, so I think it really works. And then I'm just going to make sure all these center pieces are popped out. You could roll it with, if you have one of those roller things that pop out all little pieces on a die cut. I have it, but I'm not going to get it out for this. Okay. There we go. Okay, let's decorate. I'm going to start with my little gold piece. I'm going to put it down there like that. It gives me room to, sign here. Okay. And then let's put these on here. Oh, I do like it with the pink. Okay, I put adhesive on the whole thing. I'm not going to push down on the top yet because I do want to be able to stick, something under there. Same thing with the little bowl. Try to leave that open a little bit. Put the pink flowers down. I'm gonna make this kind of hang down a little bit over like that. Now let's do the sticks. Okay, I put the smaller one on this side, and don't put adhesive on the very top, okay? Because that part sticks up past the opening here, so So you don't want this to have any adhesive on it, otherwise it'll stick to the bottom. And then this one, I am going to cut right below this part here. Okay, so again, I'm going to put adhesive on this, but not at the very bottom. Okay. And you don't want this to, oh, I think I cut it the wrong way. Now this is going to be too. I'm going to cut it here. This piece like, okay. I'm just going to put adhesive on the bottom here. Well, actually this one, you've got this pink backing here, so it's not quite as important. Let's see if we can get this. Okay. There we go. There we go. So here is the complete card. You inspire me. What do you think? It's a fun fold card. Here's my original one. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the project. The products seen in the video can be purchased at my website, thecraftychemist.stampinup.net. I have a Facebook group, Crafty Chemist Designs, where I go live and do demos every Sunday. I also have a Facebook VIP group, The Crafty Chemist Presents Stampin' Up. Find me on Instagram at Crafty Chemist Designs, TikTok at Crafty Chemist Designs, YouTube at Crafty Chemist Designs, and my blog, periodicallycrafty.blogspot.com.